I never thought a small piece of shade could bring me so much happiness. That a pile of tools, a bucket, a knife, a pencil might become my greatest treasures, or that knowing Richard Parker was here might ever bring me peace. In times like these, I remember that he has as little experience of the real world as I do. We were both raised in a zoo by the same master. Now we've been orphaned, left to face our ultimate master together. Without Richard Parker, I would have died by now. My fear of him keeps me alert. Tending to his needs gives my life purpose.
Who is the tiger for you? Is it Ang Lee? Who are you looking at when this is happening?
In real life?
Yeah, well, while you're shooting
Or
on
metaphorically?
the set. When? Oh, I'm not doing metaphorically until we're done. No. Right now, it's just the literal thing. You're in the boat, and you're looking at Ang.
Air.
Air.
Yeah.
So the air is the tiger.
Oh, technically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he could be going, like that.
It was, Ang would really explain it really well what was happening. So, it wasn't very, eventually, obviously, it was a little bit strange trying to act opposite nothing. But eventually, because we were doing it for so long and every day and all day, it eventually became, for me, I would even walk on the boat thinking that, okay, Richard Parker's there right now, I'll be on this side. I'll just hang around here, not. So by the end of it, I felt like he was there. It became very natural to have the tiger on the boat without anything really being there.
I would think that your life would have been messed up just a little bit when you finished this. I would be walking around seeing tigers where they weren't there. That could be dangerous for you. Are you still seeing them?
I stole the stuffed tigers that I didn't have to see them. I was seeing them in real life. But for a while I was in this weird state. I would put it like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay now.
Okay, it's good. I'm glad. But Irrfan, could you explain a little bit about Richard Parker? And just why the tiger has that name?
Oh, in the book, it's explained that it's a clerical mistake, and it was supposed to come to their zoo, but he was named. The name of the hunter was Richard Parker, and somehow the name got swapped, and
they wanted to call the tiger Thirsty, right?
Yeah.
And then
Thirsty, and then
it becomes the hunter's.
Yeah.
But with your scenes shot in 3D, where you're talking to Rafe Spall, you're talking to another actor about what this is. How is that different, shooting a movie like that in 3D? I guess you did it with Spider-Man too.
Yeah, actually, I never felt any different earlier. But when I saw this film, because when you are watching the monitor, once you do the shoot, you're watching the monitor, you don't really realize what 3D is doing to you. But when I saw the film for the first time last night, I think it's a huge difference. With 2D, the performance of 2D and 3D are completely different. The 3D becomes much more personal. It registers a lot. It becomes more subtle. 3D is earlier I had this conception that 2D and 3D, you don't need to change your performance. It's the same. But no. 3D is much more personal, it's much more personal. It just comes out to you, you need to do lesser than what you do in 2D. But also because the way Ang has used 3D, it's lesser to amuse you. He has handled 3D in a much more lyrical and poetic way. Otherwise, what happens with 3D, they try to pull you out of your seat. They want to make you like this all the time. But initially, in the beginning of the film, it just makes you settle down. You are much more personal with the 3D, which I have never experienced earlier. And this is the first time, I saw 3D. And it looks beautiful. It has a poetic quality, which is something new and rare.
Well, I want to ask each of you that because you've both seen the film. Is there a scene, or even something that's less than a minute, a moment in this movie that has special meaning for you? Not because it's the best scene in the movie or the scariest or the most spiritual, just personal meaning for each of you when you watch the movie.
Well, Well, there was one scene that we were training for a really long time, and every day, and I didn't know how to swim and hold my breath, and I had to learn.
Oh, you didn't know how to swim, and you're in the water in the tank the whole time.
Yeah.
Great.
He
So I had to
learned.
learn how to swim.
Great. Did you tell Ang Lee that you couldn't swim originally?
I told him I could get from one side of the pool to the other.
Great.
Anyway, so I had to learn how to swim and hold my breath. I could hold my breath for like 14 seconds, and I had to make it about a minute and a half, something like that. And basically, it's when Pi watches his family drown underwater. It's an important scene, but that's not the reason for me, because, you know, I had to do so much of training, and there is that emotional end to it, and the whole you trying to imagine your own family drown while being underwater and trying to hold your breath and making all those. We trained for it for a really long time, you know, and I never thought I'd be able to do it. It was always, I used to feel like, and you know, when we finally did it, it was really good. It was really good feeling, and then watching it and realizing why Ang made me do it so many times. Yeah, that always does something to me. It does something to me. So.
But for me, I was amused. You know, the film makes me cry and laugh at the same time. The you know, lullaby in the beginning of the film, there's nothing in it. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just, you know, animals in the zoo, and there's a lullaby, and it just it does something to you which I cannot explain. You know, it makes me cry. It makes me laugh with, you know, with exhilaration. So that's the kind of thing. And there's a very small sequence where he hasn't tamed the tiger as yet. The tiger is still out to eat him because he's hungry. And there's this flying fish comes on the boat, and he throws it towards the Richard Parker tiger, and he says, "It's yours." And the flying fish goes to tiger's mouth, and tiger's about to bite it, and the flying fish goes away. It just, you know, it just amuses you. It's so fantastic. There's so many sequences like that. You know, it's beautiful.
And the thing that I think makes this a great movie is that it's filled with scenes like that. You know,
And also
different people can.
There are a few more scenes, but I cannot speak about them right now because it will give away the story. But there are a few scenes. I was fascinated in the book as well. You know, there's when Pi starts looking under the sea, and he just realizes that there is a whole universe exists under the sea, and there's a whole, like, traffic is going on, you know, with neon lights, and, you know, there are births and deaths all simultaneously happening beneath him. And the way Ang has captured that, you know, with Richard Parker and Pi both looking down the sea, and both have their own version, you know, it's a kind of surrealistic world. And somehow the way it connected Pi and Richard Parker and their imagery, you know, that's something very, 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 very special. There are a few moments at the end of the film, but I cannot really talk about them, you know.
I would have to stop you. You know, right? These things every day go, you know, a little buzzer goes off and says no.
No.
Yeah, no, we can't do spoilers. That's what they call. It's what we call them here.
Okay.
Spoilers. No.
Spoiler.
Go see the movie yourself and then see what happens in it. You did a great job in this movie, so congratulations and thank you both.
Thank
you both for
Thank you,
being
Peter.
here. Yeah.